want to take you on a journey. Imagine you're sitting in a train. All you know is that the last stop is the safe stop. You don't get any further information about the other stops, which means you don't have any clue if the other stations are safe or not. All of the passengers are waiting for the last stop, and nobody dares to get off at an earlier station. So if you choose to wait for the last stop, you'll never get to know what awaits you. Maybe you will miss the opportunity to meet your future husband or wife. If you stay on the train, you have already restricted yourself from the opportunity to experience something new. So my question is, would you dare to get off at an earlier stop, even if you knew that it would lead you into the unknown? I chose to take one of the other doors. A stop in the middle of nowhere, an empty station. I was surrounded by big green trees and fields. It was the sound of absolutely nothing, and you could only hear a gentle breeze. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. That day, I decided not to be a safe passenger. It was the 1st of May 2014, the day I quit university. The path that would have led me to become a teacher, instead, I chose to live my passion for a year in a Swedish school form that is called folkhögskola. Unlike a university, you don't get any diploma or a title after you graduate. So you do it for the pure life experience. Åsa folkhögskola, nicknamed the school in the woods, is a boarding school with a unique specialization in urban dance styles, and is located in the middle of the woods, in the countryside, in Sweden. And even though it is located where it is, a lot of international dancers have found out about it. So instead of living in the library, studying for exams, and doing homework, I spent most of my time in a dance studio, following my passion and interacting with other dancers, which was always a dream of mine, to finally focus on something I wanted to do. And by attending the dance school, I not only gained dance experience, but life experience as well. And it was also the first time that I moved out from my parents' house, and the very first time that I had to stand on my own 2 feet. So I'm happy that I didn't overthink leaving my studies too much and just followed my gut feelings. But it wasn't the first time that I jumped off at an unexplored stop, because I had already jumped off the train many times before. And one stop is called locking. As you might hear from my speech, I'm a dancer. And my main dance style is locking, which is a really rare dance and was created in the late 60s, beginning 70s in the United States. It belongs to the urban dance styles and is the least common style out of the 5 big ones. And it often gets confused with the dance style popping, but the difference is huge, because the main thing in locking is to actually lock your body, which means you lock your body in different positions, and you don't pop your body. So there's the difference. The creators of locking were inspired by animated cartoons, and they tried to look like caricatures of themselves. The style contains big movements and stops, the actual lock. And other movements that keep you recognize locking are twirls or wrist rolls, which means you roll your wrists, points, pointing in different directions, rhythmical hand claps, and plenty other movements. It looks like a funny, goofy dance, but it's really a high-tempo, demanding dance. So what I did was get off the train and dig deeper into the rare style, which none of my friends seemed interested in. So I decided to go off all by myself. I was basically the only one in my hometown who got involved with locking. And the reason for it was the music. even though funk music wasn't from my era. I really love funk dances, and especially locking. But it's kind of a limited dance which only has a certain number of movements compiled in a handbook. And of course, you can vary and change the moves while you're dancing, but it still has a strict framework compared to the other urban dance styles. And to make your dance look interesting, you need to separate yourself from the majority, which means learning all the foundations properly, develop it further, and think outside the box, which also promotes your creative thinking and is the hardest part of dancing. Yes, the dance was created to a certain style of music, and if you've ever heard of James Brown, you might have a feeling of what it could look like. And if not, well then, I'll guess I have to show you. Thank you. Okay. So, one second. Oh, my stamina isn't the best today. But getting off at these stations wasn't a problem for me because I followed my passion. I got off at stops I felt connected to. But sometimes you pass stations you don't dare to get off, especially if the station seems to be far away from your actual interest. Well, that happened to me. I got off in a field full of emotions, power, courage, and definitely confidence. Yes, and I did it again. I explored one of these unknown stops. I got off at the Pushing Boundary station, which means I joined the feminist dance group Yoke. When I was asked to be part of their piece, I didn't really know what to expect or the purpose of their performances, which was probably for the better, because if I had seen their piece before, I would have said no straight away and stayed on the train to the last stop. And I would have never experienced how strong and powerfully I actually can express myself. Because that piece made me come out of my shell. Yoke means, for example, to hump. Yes, and I will leave it to your imagination. But isn't that something we usually see in hip-hop clips? And here comes the brilliance with Yoke. They took all stereotypes that sexualized women from music videos and in all media in general and reclaimed their bodies. For example, the images of girls wearing school uniforms, chewing bubblegums, and bumping. They are known for provoking, breaking norms, and inspiring us to stand for who we are. Not asking for respect, but demanding it. And instead of humping the hip to be observed in a sexual way, it was about desexualizing the woman body and how the bodies can move in a non-sexual way. What hit me the most was that the message was more important than doing beautiful choreographies, because until this point, I just wanted to dance well and perfectly, but in this piece, this wasn't the main purpose. It was the first time that I saw dance in a different way, as politically expressive. And one of the hardest things was to really go out of my comfort zone. What shouldn't be a problem for dancers, right? But the difference from dancing locking to performing Yoke is huge. It's like day and night, because locking is something I'm used to dancing and performing many times in front of various people, which I can tell you from my experiences that people often enjoy seeing locking. Well, I hope so. But performing Yoke was playing with fire. You never knew if people would like it or think it's way too extreme and leave the room. But before I performed the first time with the Yoke troupe, I was in my hotel room crying because I felt split apart. And I had all these thoughts flying around in my head. Can I do this? Can I be as powerful as them? Can I stand behind it? What will people think? And most important, what will my family think? One part of me really wanted to do it, but the other part of me was being conservative. In the end, I managed to do it. I managed to be powerful, and I was able to deliver the message. And the enormous relief afterwards justified all of my previous doubts. Now, I know that there's nothing to fear about when performing on stage, thanks to the Yoke troupe. And I'm happy that I didn't overthink it way too much and just try this new experience. Because what I just did was saying yes when I was asked to join them. Another time where the unknown became a milestone in my life. And the experience changed me as a person, took me further, and really changed my views on some issues. For example, how the woman is portrayed in mainstream media. But I also had moments where I decided to stay on the train. So what I want to say is that overthinking every stop and focusing on what could go wrong if I get off at an unknown stop is a defense mechanism. And if we let this fear control us, we won't try out new directions, new paths. And we won't have any new experiences because we only stay in our safety zone. It's a simple thought, and you have probably heard it many times, but just do it. There's so much power in the statement, and life is way too short to not try out opportunities you are offered. Trust yourself, explore new territories, and don't overthink every stop that the train makes. If you feel like getting off, then get off the damn train.